Ryan Miller were installing a drainage tile when they hit a natural gas line in December. Federal investigators blame human error for a deadly natural gas explosion.
Michael Koster still fights to recover from burns he sustained back in December. The 20-year-old suffered second and third degree burns over more than 65% of his body.
Investigators now say no one called the joint utility locating information for excavators before digging.
Crews were already in the neighborhood investigating a gas and water main leak when the 50-foot fireball shot into the sky.
This house explosion was caused by excavators digging and hitting the gas line. Now take a good look at your screen. This is the picture that the IURC has sent us of the gas line that
This is what many involved in the JJ's explosion investigation have been waiting to see. Crews excavated the area where the leak occurred and found this. The rusty object you see is the drill bit, and you can see it has gone all the way through the yellow gas pipe and stopped on the other side.
Well, I think it confirms what we already suspected, that the boring rod of the cable company goes right through the gas line and causes this leak.
Is in critical condition after a natural gas line exploded. A gas-fueled fireball stopped traffic near Fort Myers. Flames and black smoke poured from the site for over an hour. Look at that. It happened after a bulldozer working on a road-widening project severed the gas line.
Investigators say the driver of a backhoe hit a gas line. It proved costly because the gas line exploded. It caught the house on fire, and this is what's left of that house. During the peak of this firefight, crews battle shooting flames and smoke as water gushes from the property.
Protecting Florida's citizens and safeguarding our fragile underground infrastructure begins with a quick overview of the Safe Digging Law. Chapter 556 of the Florida Statutes, otherwise known as the Underground Facility Damage Prevention and Safety Act, was written into law to do two things: protect the public and prevent damage to underground utilities. As part of the law, Sunshine 811 was established to coordinate locate ticket requests and line markings with utilities for all excavation work, big and small. Excavators notify 811 2 full business days in advance of their project, 10 full business days if the excavation is underwater. Sunshine 811 then coordinates with utilities who place paint, flags, stakes, or other temporary markings so excavators know the general vicinity of underground lines on the work site. What's important for you is that the law details the types of citable violations and fines, which we're going to cover. Before we share more on those citable violations, it's important to be aware of the state of damages and dangers we're experiencing in Florida, so you can understand just how important it is to enforce the law. First, it's estimated that a utility line is damaged every 19 minutes in the state. That's tens of thousands of damages each year. Those damages result in service interruptions, costly repairs, road closures, injuries, and even worse. A cut fiber could bring down your 911 emergency operations center. A cut electric line could electrocute someone or place those needing power for medical equipment in danger. And earlier you saw what can happen when a gas line is struck. All have the potential to cause traffic jams, evacuations, and loss of communication. Florida's unprecedented construction activity and growth will only increase those risks to our fragile network of more than 1 million miles of underground facilities. Most damages come from a single common violation: not contacting 811. Telecommunications, natural gas, and electric work are among the biggest causes of damage. Telecom and fiber lines are being hit the most, while gas line strikes are increasing, which is the most dangerous situation to manage. Finally, while unsafe practices violate Florida law and put lives at risk, violations often go uncited. Now, enforcing the law is a shared responsibility of our state's entire enforcement community. From code enforcement to local and state law enforcement, to government code inspectors, fire chiefs, and fire marshals. It's important to share that Sunshine 811 is not a regulatory or enforcement entity. When it comes to violations within the law, there are 5 non-criminal violations with penalties from $500 for non-gas facilities to $2,500 for gas facilities. Failure to notify and contact 811 is by far the top violation, followed by failure to wait the required time to start excavation. Failure to follow tolerance zone requirements, which includes an area that is 24 inches from the outer edge of a marked underground facility. Then, there is failure to stop excavation if marks are no longer visible. Failure to stop excavation if contact or damage with buried lines occurs. The next 3 non-criminal violations carry a single penalty of $500: a false emergency notification, failure to follow low-impact marking requirements, and failure to mark underground utilities. You should know that 80% of penalties go back to the issuing governmental entity. And finally, there are 2 criminal second-degree misdemeanor violations. The first is the knowing and willful destruction or removal of valid temporary marks. The second is the knowing and willful removal or damage of a permanent marker. More detailed information on these violations can be found at sunshine811.com/enforcement. On a side note, companies that own or operate gas facilities most likely have designated some or all lines as high-priority subsurface installations. When these lines are struck during construction and result in an explosion or other dangerous situation, you may fulfill an emergency response role, but the investigation is coordinated by the state's fire marshal. Now that you have an understanding of what a violation is, let's talk about how to spot those dangers and issue citations. First, scan a dig site for physical signs of unlawful excavation. Look for permanent and temporary utility markers for gas, electric, communications, water, and sewer. If there are none, there's a good chance no locate ticket was requested, or the marks were destroyed, but digging continued. Both citable offenses. Digging near permanent markers, especially gas transmission lines, without temporary marks, could very well mean the excavator did not call 811 and is relying on those permanent markers for line location. The important thing to remember, permanent markers let you know lines are below. They don't show where the lines run, and they don't run in a straight line from marker to marker. Even heavy equipment near gas permanent markers with no temporary marks could indicate planned excavation without a ticket. Courtesy stops at excavation sites, both private and commercial, is the proactive way to enforce the safe digging law. You'll ask for a locate ticket number. You can also call 811 and hit option 8 to speak to a representative who can verify. 1. The ticket and its expiration date. It must be less than 30 days old. 2. If the excavator waited the appropriate amount of time to dig. And 3. If the locate description matches where the excavator is digging. If there is no locate ticket or the ticket is not valid, you can issue a warning or citation, and the work on site must stop until there is a valid locate ticket. Each utility type has a designated color for marking. Yellow is for gas, red is for electric, orange communication lines, blue, water, green, sewer lines, and purple for reclaimed water. Surveyors use pink to mark their work. And finally, excavators use white to outline a proposed excavation site. Marks must remain visible throughout the life of the project. It's important to note the difference between public and private lines. The latter are the responsibility of the owner, such as a homeowner, and include things like water lines from meter to home, irrigation, lines to gas grills, landscape lighting, and more. There are also provisions for homeowners working in easements, rights-of-way, and permitted use areas. Check out public and private facilities on our website. Finally, when you're on site, check to ensure there is no damage to utility lines. When there is damage, the law requires excavation in that area to stop. Any damage that results from not following the proper process constitutes a violation. And of course, if any damage threatens public safety, clear the site and contact emergency services. When it comes to spotting violations, utility companies are a great source in the field. In general, they know when damages and violations are occurring, and the types of digging that damage their facilities. Exchange contact information with them to respond to violations more easily. Excavators are also great resources for enforcement when locate markings are not performed on time, which is a citable violation. You may end up responding to calls about violations from both utilities and excavators. An officer can issue a citation to any employee or on-site representative of the contractor or utility company. The issuing officer then delivers the citation to the clerk of court in the county where the infraction occurs. A citation template can be found on sunshine811.com/enforcement. And new for enforcement, Sunshine 811 created an easy-to-use online locate ticket tracking system where officers can search and look up tickets to check if they're valid. Officers who use this system will be able to access the Tickets Near Me feature to see whether an existing job site has a valid ticket before approaching the excavator. Before we go, here are some resources Sunshine 811 offers to help you with enforcing the law. We encourage you to check out sunshine811.com/enforcement for more in-depth information on what we covered today, a link to our online enforcement program, and resource materials including an excavator reference card that lists the violations, a citation template, and more. In addition, our 4 safety education liaisons are available to you for more information, questions, and on-site presentations. We know this is a lot of information to share with you, but it's important information in the process to better understand the law, the dangers involved with digging in Florida, how to better spot those dangers and violations, and enforce the law. Know that Sunshine 811 is here for you, and we appreciate your time to view this video. Thank you for being a great partner in the important work to protect our citizens and Florida's fragile underground infrastructure. Remember that damages to underground utilities are real and threaten the safety of Florida citizens. Greater enforcement of the safe digging law saves lives and prevents serious dangers, damages, and disasters. Together, we can help make Florida the safest place to dig.